I am Gideon, and here I recount the saga of a people under the yoke of the Midianites. Amidst a cruel empire, we lived oppressed, our existence marked by fierce subjugation. This was our reality, a tragic unfolding resulting from the errors committed against the Lord. As punishment, we were delivered into the hands of the Midianites for 7 years, enduring their brutality. We built fortresses, caves, and hideouts in the mountains, hoping to survive the constant attacks. The Israelites, in desperation, sold their crops, only to watch Midian, Amalek, and the peoples of the east devastate their lands, plundering our fruits and leaving us without sustenance. They were like a plague of locusts, countless and voracious, staying until nothing was left. The Midianites, masters of cavalry, dominated our people, plundering our efforts and livestock. The hard work to harvest and raise cattle, to enjoy the fruits of our labor, became futile. The greed for sin deprived us of what we fought so hard to build. Once prosperous men lost everything, reluctant to abandon their errors. Everything seemed lost in exchange for something that, in retrospect, was insignificant. Due to the Midianites, we faced the imminence of hunger, plunged into a period of humiliation, fruitless labor, poverty, and the constant threat of a superior enemy. But this is not just a story of desolation, it is also the prelude to a divine intervention that would change our destiny. When we cried out to the Lord for help against the oppression of Midian, He sent a prophet to the Israelites. This divine messenger reminded us of the greatness of the Lord, who freed us from slavery in Egypt and saved us from all oppressors. God expelled the enemies and gave us lands, warning us not to worship the gods of the Amorites. However, we ignored His warnings. Amid the crisis that engulfed Israel, the Lord sent a sign: a strange man sat under the great tree in Ophrah. While I threshed wheat in secret, hiding the grains from the Midianites, the angel of the Lord appeared and greeted me as a mighty hero. "The Lord is with you," he said, while I was threshing wheat in a winepress, a challenging and humiliating task, as wheat was normally threshed in the open air, where the wind separated the chaff from the wheat. In the quiet of a winepress, seeking refuge, fearing the Midianites who ravaged the land, a mysterious man greeted me: "The Lord is with you, mighty warrior." His words sounded strange to my ears. I, Gideon, did not see myself as powerful or valiant. My life was simple, common, and there I was, amid daily tasks, when this encounter made me question, if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? Where are the miracles our fathers told us about? Aware of God's wonders in the past, I wondered why I did not see such miracles today. Doubt consumed me, and the stranger, with singular strength, challenged me: "Go in the strength you have and save Israel from the Midianites. I am sending you." I, an ordinary man, hesitated before the grand mission. How can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family. The divine visitor assured me, "I will be with you, and you will defeat the Midianites as if they were one man." Hard to believe, I, an ordinary man, was to start an extraordinary journey. Questioning my ability to face an empire, I asked for a sign to confirm the authenticity of this divine encounter. "If I have found favor in your eyes, give me a sign that confirms your message." I quickly prepared an offering, placing meat and unleavened bread on a rock and pouring broth over them. The man touched the offering with his staff, and fire sprang from the rock, consuming everything. At that moment, he disappeared, and I knew it was the angel of the Lord. In response to this divine revelation, I built an altar to the Lord in Ophrah and called it Yahweh Shalom, which means "the Lord is peace." This altar remained as a testimony, a place of offerings and sacrifices. Following the law, I built the altar with natural stones, not cut, to avoid contaminating them. That night, the Lord instructed me to tear down the altar of Baal, destroy the Asherah pole beside it, and offer a bull in sacrifice on a new altar, using the wood of the pole as fuel. Asherah, worshipped as the goddess of fertility, was represented by a branchless tree trunk. Despite the weight of responsibility, I knew I could not flee from this challenge. With 10 servants, I executed the Lord's orders at night, fearing the reaction of the city's inhabitants. The next morning, the city discovered Baal's altar destroyed and the new altar in its place. After investigations, I was identified as the responsible party, and the inhabitants demanded that I pay with my life for the desecration of the altar and the cutting of the Asherah pole. But my father defended me, arguing that if Baal was a god, he could defend himself. This was the turning point in my story, the beginning of a revolution against idolatry and the start of Israel's liberation. I, Gideon, the least in my family, was chosen to lead a battle not only against the Midianites but against doubt and fear, proving that faith and courage can arise from the most unexpected places. The worship of Baal at that time was indeed so powerful that it threatened the very lives of those who opposed it. Heresy had become the dominant religion, and the people, in their despair, turned to Baal, the god of weather, believing he controlled the success of their crops. However, this blind devotion only exacerbated the crisis they faced under the oppression of the Midianites. When the crowd demanded my life for destroying Baal's altar, my father intervened with wisdom, challenging the logic of their fervent faith. If Baal was truly a god, he argued, he should be able to defend himself. This logical defense preserved my life and labeled me Jerubbaal, suggesting that Baal should contend against me for destroying his altar. After this event, the armies of Midian, Amalek, and the peoples of the east formed an alliance and camped in the valley of Jezreel. It was then that the Spirit of the Lord clothed me with power. I blew the ram's horn, summoning the men of the tribe of Abiezer, and sent messengers throughout Manasseh, Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali, gathering an army of 32,000 men. Before going to battle, I sought divine confirmation, for, being the least in my family and from the smallest clan, I doubted if people would follow me. I asked God for a sign. The fleece on the threshing floor should be wet with dew while the ground remained dry. And so it was. But I still needed one more sign to strengthen my faith. This time, I asked that the fleece remain dry while the ground was wet. God granted my request, and I was ready for the task. With my army gathered at the spring of Harod, the Lord instructed me to further reduce the number of men so that the victory would not be attributed to human strength. After a peculiar test, only 300 men were chosen to face the Midianites. God wanted the odds to clearly favor him, showing that the victory would be undeniably his. That night, I went down to the Midianite camp and heard a man recount a dream that he interpreted as a sign that God had given me, Gideon, victory over Midian. This divine confirmation strengthened my faith and prepared me for what was to come. God was using every detail to build my confidence, and even my enemies were full of fear. Now, facing the imminent battle, I trust entirely in the Lord, for there is nothing else to trust. The victory is near, and the faith that was once small is now strong, ready to face the impossible. I, Gideon, started the work with few, but soon many joined the cause. The men of Ephraim, following my instructions, captured and executed the Midianite commanders Oreb and Zeb and continued to pursue the enemies. When confronting the men of Ephraim, who sought recognition, I told them that what they had done far surpassed my actions. I compared my contribution to the leftovers of Ephraim's grapes, suggesting that even what they considered little was more than the total harvest of my small clan of Abiezer. My intention was to direct attention to God's sovereignty in the victory and minimize my own contribution. The city leaders hesitated to provide food for my warriors, showing the challenges of uniting different parts for a common purpose. The cities of Penuel and others refused to support my pursuit against Midian until the victory was certain, which frustrated me. I promised to return after the victory to deal with those who refused to help. Zebah and Zalmunna, the kings of Midian, were in Karkor with a significant army. I planned a surprise attack, confident in the Lord's guidance. The battle was far from over, but my determination remained firm. I surprised the Midianite army in Karkor, capturing Zebah and Zalmunna. Despite the challenges, my persistence and trust in God prevailed, leading to victory. After the conquest, I returned to the city of Sukkot to fulfill my promise and punish those who refused to help during the fight. I captured a young man from Sukkot to identify the city's leaders. I found the 77 elders and officials, including Zebah and Zalmunna, and punished them. I discovered that the men they killed in Tabor were my brothers, sons of my own mother. I confronted Zebah and Zalmunna and sought justice for the men they had slain. Although my son Jether hesitated to execute them, I took responsibility and struck them down myself, taking the ornaments from their camels. The Israelites proposed that I and my descendants should rule over them, but I refused, emphasizing that neither I nor my son nor my grandson should govern. Instead, I reaffirmed the sovereignty of the Lord God over Israel. After the victory over the kings of Midian, the people brought gold earrings as contributions, which were used to create an ephod. However, this action became a snare, leading the people back into idolatry. My life was a journey of challenges and triumphs, demonstrating the enduring strength within each of us. God's command to build altars of natural stones highlights the importance of focusing on Him. This obedience resulted in 40 years of peace for Israel. I served as a judge and guide, maintaining peace in the land. My story is a testament to the power that lies within each of us, waiting to be awakened by a greater purpose fueled by faith. I hope that my narrative inspires others to embrace their destinies, overcome adversities, and never underestimate the power of God. God made me a victor over the Midianites, not through conventional power but through compassion for Israel, knowledge of His great works in the past, and a spiritual hunger to see God perform extraordinary deeds once again. I am Gideon, and this is my story of faith, courage, and victory. May everyone find strength and encouragement to face their own challenges and rise above adversity. Share this with a friend so they too can know my story in detail. May God bless you, and thank you.